Very good evening to one and all. So, welcome to the AIHSAYA webinar series to everyone. We welcome you, Dr. Jayesh sir. We welcome all the participants for the webinar series. So, today's our guest speaker sir is Dr. Jayesh sir. So, the topic will be the legacy of Dr. Hahnemann sir. So, we'll have a small introduction regarding the Dr. Jayesh sir. So, Dr. Jayesh sir has been educated MD Homeopathy in YMT Homeopathy Medical College from 2010 batch and BHMS
Madam,
from
sorry. Madam, 1 minute, sorry. So I've finished my MD degree, my post-grad degree from YMT, but I have been teaching in CMP Homeopathic Medical College, Mumbai since more than last 23 years, madam.
glad to know, sir. Yes, sir. Sir has also did MSc Counseling Psychology in University of from University of Madras in 2013 and Diploma in Critical Care in Homeopathy from Bombay Hospital in 2001. Coming back to the professional experience, Sir has been Assistant Professor from the Department of Organon of Homeopathy since 2002 and Private Homeopathic Consultant since 2000. Honorary Physician Mumbai Devi Homeopathy Hospital, assistant to Dr. Farooq Master since 1999. And Sir has already attended many seminars and international presentations. And we welcome you, sir. We welcome all the participants. So the session is hand over to you, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. So I'm Dr. Jayesh Dhingreja, and I am currently Assistant Professor in the Department of Organon of Medicine since last I've been teaching in the same college, Srimati CHANDABEN MOHANBHAI PATEL Homeopathic Medical College, since last more than 23 years. So, good evening to all my dear colleagues, my fellow practitioners, students, and friends of homeopathy. Welcome to this special webinar commemorating the death anniversary of Dr. Samuel Hahnemann on this day of 2nd July 2025. Today marks 182 years since the passing of one of medicine's most revolutionary figures, a man whose vision and courage fundamentally transformed our understanding of healing and continues to influence healthcare practices around the world. I am honored to share with you the remarkable story of Christian Frederick Samuel Hahnemann, the founder of homeopathy, whose legacy extends far beyond the medical system he created. As we gather virtually from different parts of this country and also around the globe also, we are united by our shared appreciation for a healing tradition that began with one physician's unwavering commitment to find a gentler, more effective way to heal human suffering. Today's presentation will take us on a journey through Dr. Hahnemann's extraordinary life, explore his revolutionary contributions to medicine, and examine how his legacy continues to shape modern healthcare and inspire the future generation of healers. So let's begin with one introduction to Dr. Samuel Hahnemann. So before we delve into the details of Dr. Hahnemann's life and work, let me paint a picture of the medical landscape he encountered in the late 18th century. Imagine, if you will, time when the primary treatments of illness included bloodletting, that is literally cutting the veins to drain what physicians believed was impure blood, harsh purgatives that violently emptied the bowels, and toxic mercury preparations that often caused more harm than the original disease. This was the world of medicine that young Samuel Hahnemann entered as a physician in 1779. It was a world where patients often died not from their diseases, but from their treatments. It was a world where medical education was based more on ancient theories than on careful observation of what actually helped patients heal. In harsh medical environment, stepped a curious, multilingual scholar from Meissen who would dare to ask the most fundamental questions in medicine. Is there a better way to heal? This question would drive Dr. Hahnemann's entire career and ultimately lead to the development of a medical system that prioritizes the patient's well being above all else. Dr. Hahnemann was not just a physician, he was a linguist, a translator, a chemist, and a philosopher. His ability to read medical texts in multiple languages gave him access to medical knowledge from across Europe and beyond. This broad perspective would prove crucial in the development of homeopathy, as he could draw insights from various medical traditions while maintaining a critical scientific approach to healing. What makes Dr. Hahnemann's story so compelling is not just what he discovered, but how he discovered it. His journey was marked by careful observation, systematic experimentation, and an unwavering commitment to putting patients first. He was willing to challenge the medical establishment of his time, even when it meant facing ridicule and professional ostracism. As we face our own healthcare challenges, from the opioid crisis, antibiotic sensitivities, to the rise of chronic diseases, from mental health epidemics to concerns over medication, Dr. Hahnemann's approach offers valuable insights. His emphasis on individualized treatment, minimal intervention, and addressing the root causes of illness resonates strongly with the contemporary movements towards personalized medicine and holistic healthcare. So let's see the earlier life and the formative years. To understand Dr. Hahnemann's revolutionary approach to medicine, we must first understand the man himself and the experiences that shaped his thinking. Christian Frederick Samuel Hahnemann was born on 10th April 1755 in Meissen, a town famous for its exquisite porcelain located in Saxony near Dresden. His father, Christian Frederick Gottfried Hahnemann, was a porcelain painter and a designer, a skilled artisan who understood the importance of precision, patience, and attention to detail. These qualities would profoundly influence young Samuel's approach to life and medicine. From his father, Hahnemann learned not just the value of careful craftsmanship, but also a guided principle that would shape his entire career. That is, prove all things and hold fast to what is good. This simple yet profound maxim became the foundation of Hahnemann's scientific approach. Throughout his life, he would refuse to accept medical theories simply because they were traditionally or widely accepted. Instead, he insisted on testing, proving, and validating everything through careful observation and experimentation. Hahnemann's intellectual gifts became apparent early in his life. His parents, recognizing his exceptional abilities, ensured he received a good education despite their modest means. His father encouraged intellectual development by having young Samuel study alone for hours, fostering what would become a lifelong habit of original thinking and independent inquiry. At the local school, Hahnemann quickly distinguished himself as an exceptional student. His linguistic abilities were particularly remarkable by his teenage years. He had mastered not only German, but also Latin, Greek, French, Italian, and English. This linguistic prowess was not merely academic, it would prove to be one of the greatest assets as a physician and researcher. When Hahnemann was 16, he moved to the Prince's School, where he became the favorite student of the principal, Magister Muller. His excellence in languages was so notable that the principal commissioned him to teach Greek to other students, an extraordinary responsibility for someone young. And this early teaching experience would serve him well later in his life when he would need to educate both patients and fellow physicians about his new medical approach. However, Hahnemann's path was not without obstacles. Financial difficulties forced him to leave school temporarily and work as a laborer in his father's porcelain factory. This experience also, though very challenging, taught him the value of hard work and gave him first hand insight into the lives of working people, an understanding that would later influence his compassionate approach to patient care. Fortunately, the staff of Prince's School recognized Hahnemann's exceptional potential and helped him return to his studies. In the year 1775, his final essay upon leaving school was titled The Wonderful Construction of the Human Hand, a topic that revealed his early fascination with the intricate design and functions of the human body. This early period of Hahnemann's life established key characteristics that would define his later work: the intellectual curiosity, the linguistic ability, attention to detail, independence of thought, and a deep appreciation for the complexity and wonder of human physiology. These qualities, combined with his father's principle of proving all things, would prove essential when he later challenged the medical orthodoxy of his time. Let's see his early medical education and early career. In 1775, with just 20 thalers in his pocket and his father's advice to live honestly and without pretense, young Hahnemann set off for Leipzig to study medicine. This journey marked the beginning of what would become the most remarkable careers in medical history. At Leipzig, Hahnemann threw himself into his medical studies with characteristic intensity. However, he quickly became frustrated with the university's lack of clinical facilities and hands on training. The medical education of the time was heavily theoretical, based largely on ancient texts and philosophical speculation rather than direct observation of patients' diseases. Seeking better clinical experience, Hahnemann moved to Vienna in 1777, where he studied for 10 months. In Vienna, he had the good fortune to meet Dr. Joseph von Quarin at the Brothers of Mercy Hospital. Dr. Quarin, who later be credited with transforming Vienna General Hospital into a model European medical institution, became both a teacher and a friend to young Hahnemann. Under Dr. Quarin's guidance, Hahnemann gained valuable clinical experience and began to develop his observational skills. However, even in Vienna, he was troubled by the harsh and often ineffective treatments he witnessed. Patients were subjected to bloodletting, violent purging, and toxic medications that frequently caused more suffering than relief. After this time in Vienna, Hahnemann received an invitation that would prove formative to his development as both a physician and a thinker. Baron von Bruckenthal, the governor of Transylvania, invited him to Hermannstadt to serve as his family physician and to help manage his extensive library and coin collection. This position was ideal for Hahnemann's intellectual development. Not only did it provide him with practical medical experience, but it also gave him access to one of the finest private libraries in Europe. Here, surrounded by books in multiple languages on medicine, philosophy, chemistry, and natural sciences, Hahnemann could pursue his wide ranging intellectual interests while developing his medical skills. During this period, Hahnemann's linguistic abilities proved invaluable. His fluency in multiple languages allowed him to access medical knowledge from across Europe, giving him a broader perspective on healing traditions than most of his contemporaries possessed. He began working as a translator, rendering important medical and scientific works from one language to another, work that would later prove crucial to the discovery of homeopathic principles. In 1779, Hahnemann completed his medical degree at the University of Erlangen, graduating with honors. His thesis titled A Consideration of Etiology and Therapeutics of Spasmodic Affections demonstrated his early interest in understanding the underlying cause of disease rather than merely treating the symptoms. However, as Dr. Hahnemann began his medical practice, his disillusionment with conventional medicine deepened. He witnessed firsthand the suffering caused by the harsh treatments of his era. Patients were weakened by bloodletting, poisoned by mercury, and traumatized by violent purging. Many died not because of the diseases, but from their treatments. This growing disillusionment led Hahnemann to make a decision that would change the course of medical history. Rather than continuing practice medicine in a way that he believed often harmed rather than helped the patients, he temporarily abandoned medical practice altogether. Instead, he supported himself through translation, work, and chemical research, all while searching for a better approach to healing. This period of searching and questioning was not a retreat from medicine, but rather a preparation for revolution. Hahnemann was not content to simply criticize existing medical practices. He was determined to find a better way. His linguistic skills, chemical knowledge, and a deep understanding of medical literature from multiple traditions would all prove essential when he finally discovered the principle that would form the foundation of homeopathy. Most pivotal discovery, that is the cinchona bark experiment. The year 1790 marked a turning point not just in Dr. Hahnemann's life, but in the history of medicine itself. It was during this year, while working as a translator, that Hahnemann made the discovery that would lead to the development of homeopathy and revolutionize his understanding of how healing occurs. Hahnemann was translating William Cullen's treatise on Materia Medica, a comprehensive work on medicinal substances from English to German. As he worked through Cullen's description of cinchona bark, the source of quinine, which was known to be effective in treating intermittent fevers or malaria, he encountered a statement that stopped him in his tracks. Cullen claimed that cinchona bark cured intermittent fevers because it is bitter in taste and has a tonic or strengthening effect on the stomach. To Hahnemann's logical mind, this explanation made no sense. After all, there were many substances that were bitter and strengthening to the stomach, yet they do not cure the fevers. If bitterness and stomach strengthening were the mechanism by which cinchona worked, then other bitter and stomach strengthening substances should also cure the intermittent fevers. But they did not. This inconsistency troubled Hahnemann deeply. Here was a substance that undeniably worked to cure the fevers, yet the accepted explanation for why it worked was clearly inadequate. Rather than simply accepting this unsatisfactory explanation, Hahnemann decided to investigate for himself. When we all know what happened. What happened next demonstrates the scientific rigor and personal courage that characterized all of Hahnemann's work. He decided to test cinchona bark on himself, taking 4 grams twice daily for several days. This was not a casual experiment, but a systematic investigation conducted with very careful attention to detail and meticulous record keeping. The results were both surprising and illuminating. Within a short time of taking cinchona bark, Hahnemann began to experience symptoms remarkably similar to those of intermittent fevers itself. That is, fever, chills, weakness, and exhaustion. When he stopped taking the bark, the symptoms disappeared. When he resumed taking it, the symptoms returned. This observation led Hahnemann to a revolutionary insight. Perhaps cinchona bark cured intermittent fevers not because it was bitter and strengthening, but because it could produce symptoms similar to intermittent fevers in a healthy person. This was the birth of what would become known as the law of similars, like cures like, similia similibus curantur, the fundamental principle upon which homeopathy is based. But Hahnemann was too careful a scientist to base an entire medical system on a single experiment. Over the following years, he systematically tested numerous other substances on himself, his family members, and willing volunteers. Each time, he carefully documented the symptoms produced by each substance, creating detailed picture of their effects on healthy individuals. This process, which Hahnemann called proving, from the German word prüfung, meaning to test, became the foundation of homeopathic medicine. Unlike the medical practices of his time, which were based largely on theory and tradition, Hahnemann's approach was based on careful observation and systematic experimentation. The implications of this discovery was profound. If substances that could produce certain symptoms in healthy people could cure similar symptoms in a sick people, then medicine could become more precise and predictable. Rather than using harsh treatments that weaken the patients, physicians could use substances that work with the body's natural healing processes. Moreover, the discovery suggested that the body had an inherent wisdom, a capacity to heal itself when given the right stimulus. This insight would lead Hahnemann to develop his concept of the vital force, the vital or organizing principle that maintains health and orchestrates healing. The cinchona bark experiment was more than just a scientific discovery. It was a paradigm shift that would influence medicines for centuries to come. It demonstrated the importance of systematic observation over theoretical speculation, the value of testing medical theories rather than simply accepting them, and the possibility of working with rather than against the body's natural healing mechanisms. Let's see the core principles of homeopathy which Hahnemann derived after the cinchona experiment. Following this groundbreaking discovery with the cinchona bark, Dr. Hahnemann spent years developing and refining the principles that would form the foundation of homeopathy. These principles represented not just a new approach to treatment, but an entirely new philosophy of healing that challenged virtually every assumption of conventional medicine. The first and the most fundamental principle is the law of similars. Similia similibus curantur, that is, like cures like. Everybody of or each one of us knows the statement. It's a principle that states that a substance capable of producing certain symptoms in a healthy person can cure similar symptoms in a sick person. The second principle is the law of minimum dose. Through his experiments, Hahnemann discovered that smaller doses of medicine were often more effective than larger ones and that they produced fewer side effects. This led him to develop his process of potentization, that is, systematic dilution combined with vigorous shaking, that is, succussion, which he believed enhanced the therapeutic properties of substance while minimizing their toxic effects. This principle was particularly revolutionary in an era where physicians routinely prescribed massive doses of toxic substances. Hahnemann's approach suggested that healing could be achieved with gentle, non toxic treatments that work with rather than against the body's natural processes. The third principle is individualization. Hahnemann recognized that each person experiences illness in a unique way, and the effective treatment must take into account not just the disease diagnosis, but the individual's specific pattern of symptoms, including the mental and emotional state. This was perhaps the most radical aspect of Hahnemann's approach. While conventional medicine focused on diseases and as abstract entities to be treated with standard protocols, Hahnemann insisted that there are no diseases, only sick people. Each person's illness is unique, and the treatment must be tailored to their individual symptom picture. The fourth principle involves the concept of vital force. Hahnemann believed that health is maintained by a dynamic organizing principle that he called the vital force. Disease occurs when this vital force becomes disturbed or imbalanced. The goal of treatment is not to suppress the symptoms, but to restore balance to the vital force, allowing the body to heal itself. This concept was far ahead of its time, anticipating modern understanding of homeostasis, immune function, and the body's self regulating mechanisms. Also reflected Hahnemann's deep respect for the body's inherent wisdom and healing capacity. These principles work together to create a coherent system of medicine that was both scientifically rigorous and deeply humane. Hahnemann's approach required careful observation, detailed case taking, and individualized treatment, all of which fostered a deeper, more therapeutic relationship between the physician and the patient. The implications of these principles extended far beyond homeopathy itself. They suggested that effective medicine must be based on careful observation rather than theoretical speculation, and that each patient deserves individualized care rather than one size fits all protocols. These ideas were revolutionary in Hahnemann's time, and they remain relevant today also as we grapple with the limitations of conventional medicine and seek more personalized, holistic approaches to healthcare. Organon of medicine is the one of the most important book with its 6 editions written by Hahnemann. So in 1810, Dr. Hahnemann published what would become the most important medical text of all times, Organon of the Rational Art of Healing, later known simply as the Organon of Medicine. This work represented the culmination of 20 long years of research, experimentation, and clinical practice, and it provided the first systematic exposition of homeopathic principles and practice. Organon was revolutionary not just in its content, but in its approach to medical knowledge. Unlike the medical texts of his era, which were often based on ancient authorities and theoretical speculation, the Organon was grounded in empirical observations and systematic experimentations. Hahnemann presented homeopathy not as a collection of remedies or techniques, but as a complete medical science with its own philosophy, methodology, and therapeutic approach. The work is structured as a series of aphorisms, that is, concise, carefully worded statements that build upon each other to create a comprehensive understanding of health, disease, and healing. This format was deliberate. Hahnemann wanted to present his ideas with maximum clarity and precision, leaving no room for misinterpretation or confusion. The opening aphorism sets the tone for the entire work. The physician's high and only mission is to restore the sick to health, to cure as it is termed. This simple statement encapsulates Hahnemann's patient centric philosophy and his belief that physicians' primary responsibility is to the individual patient and not to the medical theories or institutional protocols. Throughout the Organon, Hahnemann systematically addresses every aspect of medical practice. He discusses the nature of health and disease, the principles of cure, the process of case taking, the selection and preparation of medicines, and the management of patients during treatment. Each topic is addressed with meticulous attention to detail and supported by extensive clinical experience. Organon also addressed the philosophical foundations of medicine in ways that were far ahead of its time. Hahnemann discussed the limitations of purely materialistic approaches to healing and argued for a more dynamic understanding of health and disease. He recognized that human beings are complex, integrated systems that cannot be understood simply by studying their component parts. Perhaps most importantly, the Organon established homeopathy as a teachable, reproducible system of medicine. Carefully articulating the principles and methods of homeopathic practice, Hahnemann made it possible for other physicians to learn and apply his approach. This was crucial for the spread of homeopathy and its development as a global medical system. The Organon went through 6 editions during Hahnemann's lifetime, with each edition reflecting his growing understanding and clinical experience. The 6th edition, published posthumously, is considered the most complete and authoritative version, incorporating insights from Hahnemann's final year of practice in Paris. The influence of Organon extended far beyond homeopathy itself. Its emphasis on systematic observation, individualized treatment, the physician patient relationship influenced the development of modern clinical medicine. Many of the principles articulated in the Organon, such as the importance of detailed case histories, the need for systematic clinical trials, and the value of gentle non-toxic treatment, have become standard practices in contemporary medicine. Today, the Organon remains essential reading for anyone seeking to understand not just homeopathy, but the broader principles of effective healing. Its insights into the nature of health and disease, the importance of individualized treatment, and the art of medical practice continue to be relevant for practitioners of all healing traditions. Let's talk about the challenges and opposition and how Hahnemann defended his revolutionary vision. The development and the promotion of homeopathy did not occur in a vacuum. From its earliest days, Dr. Hahnemann's new medical system faced intense opposition from the established medical community. Understanding this opposition and Hahnemann's response to it provides crucial insight into both the revolutionary nature of his work and the character of the man himself. The medical establishment of early 19th century was deeply invested in existing system of practice. Physicians had built their careers and reputations on approaches that Hahnemann was now challenging as not only ineffective, but actually very harmful. His assertion that conventional treatments often made patients worse was seen as a direct attack on the competence and integrity of the entire medical profession. The opposition took many forms. Hahnemann was accused of being a charlatan, quack, and a dangerous radical who was misleading the public with false promises. Medical journals refused to publish his articles, medical societies excluded him from membership, and many of his former colleagues shunned him professionally and socially. Perhaps most challenging was the accusation that homeopathy was unscientific. Critics argued that Hahnemann's doses were so small that they could not possibly have any effect, and that any improvements patients experienced were due to the placebo effect or natural recovery. They dismissed his provings as being very subjective and unreliable, and his theoretical explanations as mystical nonsense. Hahnemann responded to these challenges with characteristic rigor and determination. Rather than engaging in personal attacks or emotional arguments, he focused on presenting evidence and logical reasoning. He published detailed case studies demonstrating the effectiveness of homeopathic treatment, conducted systematic provings to establish the effects of various substances, and continuously refined his theoretical understanding based on clinical experience. One of the most significant challenges came from the pharmaceutical establishment of his time. Hahnemann's insistence on preparing own medicines and his criticism of complex multi ingredient preparations commonly used was in direct conflict with the apothecaries and the pharmacists. In some jurisdictions, he was legally prohibited from dispensing medicines, forcing him to work with sympathetic pharmacists or to relocate his practice. Opposition was not merely professional but also personal. Hahnemann and his family faced ostracism, financial hardships, and constant stress from ongoing controversies. Several times, he was forced to relocate his practice due to local opposition from medical authorities. But despite these challenges, Hahnemann never wavered from his commitment to homeopathy. He continued to treat patients, conduct research, and teach his methods to anyone willing to learn. His persistence was motivated not by stubbornness or ego, but by his deep conviction that he had discovered something genuinely beneficial for human health. Gradually, the evidence began to speak for itself. Patients who had been helped by homeopathic treatment became advocates for the system. Other physicians, initially skeptical, began to investigate Hahnemann's methods and found them effective. Slowly but steadily, homeopathy gained acceptance and began to spread beyond Germany to other parts of Europe and eventually to the Americas and Asias. If you see the graph on the screen, it's about the number of homeopathic practitioners in Europe was showing a gradual increase, and from 1840 to 1850 there was an exponential increase, and around 1850 there were around 1200 homeopathic practitioners only in Europe. The opposition Hahnemann faced was not unique to his era. Throughout the history, medical innovators have faced resistance from established authorities. What made Hahnemann's situation particularly challenging was the comprehensive nature of his challenge to conventional medicine. He was not simply proposing a new treatment or technique, but an entirely different approach to understanding health and disease. The way Hahnemann handled his opposition provides valuable lessons for anyone seeking to introduce innovative ideas into established fields. He maintained his scientific rigor, focused on evidence rather than rhetoric, remained committed to his principles while remaining open to refinement and improvement, and never lost sight of his primary goal, helping patients heal. As we face our own challenges in healthcare, the opioid crisis to antibiotic resistance, from chronic disease epidemics to healthcare inequality, Hahnemann's example reminds us of the importance of questioning established practices and remaining open to new approaches, even when they challenge the fundamental assumptions about healing and medicine. Let's see about his later life and global expansion, the Paris years. In 1835, at the age of 80, Dr. Hahnemann made a decision that surprised many of his contemporaries and followers. He left Germany, where he had spent his entire career developing and promoting homeopathy, and moved to Paris with his new wife, Madame Melanie de Herblay. This move marked the beginning of what would be the final and perhaps the most remarkable phase in his long and productive life. Hahnemann's second marriage was itself a testament of his vitality and continued passion for life and learning. Madame Melanie was an educated, cultured woman of 35 who shared Hahnemann's intellectual interests and was deeply supportive of his work. Their marriage, despite the significant age difference, was marked by mutual respect, affection, and a shared commitment to advancing homeopathic medicine. Paris in the 1830s was the intellectual and cultural capital of Europe, a city where new ideas could flourish and find receptive audiences. For Hahnemann, it represented an opportunity to introduce homeopathy to a broader, more cosmopolitan community and to continue his research and practice in a more liberal environment. And the move to Paris proved to be remarkably successful. Despite his advanced age, Hahnemann quickly established a thriving practice that attracted patients across Europe and beyond. His reputation as a healer had preceded him, and many people sought him out specifically for homeopathic treatment. He worked on the sixth edition of Organon in Paris, incorporating insights from decades of clinical experience. He also continued to conduct provings and to train other physicians in homeopathic method. And one of the most significant developments during this period was Hahnemann's work with what he called as the LM potencies or 50 millisimal potencies. This represented a new method of preparing homeopathic medicines that allowed for even more gentle and precise treatment. This innovation demonstrated that even in his 80s, Hahnemann remained committed to improving and refining his therapeutic approach. The Paris years also saw the global expansion of homeopathy. Physicians who had studied with Hahnemann or learned his methods from his writings carried homeopathy to countries far and wide. By the time of Hahnemann's death in 1843, homeopathy was being practiced in most European countries, in the United States of America, in parts of Asia, South America, and India as well. This global expansion was facilitated not only by effectiveness of homeopathic treatment, but also by its adaptability to different cultures and medical traditions. During the final years in Paris, Hahnemann also witnessed the beginning of institutional recognition for homeopathy. Homeopathic hospitals were established in several countries, homeopathic medical schools were founded, and homeopathic pharmacies began to appear in major cities. What had begun as one man's revolutionary insight was becoming a global medical movement. Hahnemann's death on 2nd July 1843 marked the end of an era, but not the end of his influence. By the time of his passing, homeopathy had been firmly established as a legitimate medical system with practitioners and patients around the world. The principles he had discovered and the methods he had developed would continue to evolve and spread long even after his death. The Paris years demonstrated several important aspects of Hahnemann's character and vision. His willingness to relocate at such an advanced age showed his continued commitment to growth and learning. Successful practice in Paris proved that his methods were not limited to German culture or patients, but had universal applicability. And his continued research and development work showed that he viewed homeopathy not as a finished system, but as a living, evolving approach to healing. Perhaps most importantly, the global expansion of homeopathy during Hahnemann's life validated his belief that he had discovered something for genuine value for human health. The fact that physicians and patients in diverse cultures and circumstances found homeopathy beneficial suggested that its principles reflected fundamental truths about healing that transcended cultures and geographical boundaries. The enduring legacy is there. Hahnemann has left a lasting impact on medicine. Patient-centric approach, his minimal dosing, and systematic experimentation are the most important thing which takes the legacy of this great man forward. Some of his revolutionary contributions would be, the first would be the proving process or the drug proving methodology. He established systematic testing of medicines on healthy volunteers, replacing speculation with empirical observation. This approach anticipated what we called as the modern phase 1 clinical trials and created a systematic way to understand medicine effects. And why this is called as a revolutionary contribution? Because it was the first systematic approach to understanding drug effects on human body, replacing theoretical speculation with empirical evidence. It introduced meticulous documentation of all symptoms, including mental and emotional changes, and not just the physical ones. It pioneered the concept of testing medicines on healthy individuals much before using them on sick patients. It established a scientific basis for determining medicinal properties at a time when medicine lacked objective methods. And finally, it created the first comprehensive drug reference based on actual human responses rather than theoretical properties. The process is also a revolutionary contribution towards medicine. Its development of systematic dilution with vigorous shaking addressed medicine's persistent problem, providing therapeutic benefit while harmful or eliminating or minimizing harmful side effects. This anticipated the modern principle that less can be more in medicine. And it is revolutionary because it challenged conventional scientific understanding by suggesting that medicines could become more potent through dilutions, provided a method for using potentially toxic substances safely by reducing their material concentration, introduced the concept of energy transfer through succussion, suggesting that medicinal properties were not solely chemical, established a standardized preparation method that could be replicated consistently across practitioners, and it laid the groundwork for what would later be explored in the field of nanomedicine and ultra high dilutions. The patient centric approach. He placed individual patients rather than the diseases at the center of medical practice. This required lengthy, detailed case taking or consultations, exploring all the aspects of patient's experience, and fostered collaborative therapeutic relationships. And what is the legacy of his patient centric approach? It has influenced the development of modern patient centered care models in conventional medicine, anticipated the importance of doctor patient communication and shared decision making. It recognized the mind body connection centuries before psychosomatic medicine became established and emphasized gentle treatment methods that would do no harm, a principle now central to medical ethics. Now, you can see from the table here the revolutionary contrast between conventional medicine during the 1800s and Hahnemann's approach. So the treatment focused in conventional medicine was entire disease entity, while Hahnemann's approach was the whole person. The patient was a passive recipient in conventional medicine, while in Hahnemann's approach is an active participant. The symptoms view was to be suppressed, while in Hahnemann's approach it was the expression of the vital force. And the treatment goal in conventional medicine was to eliminate the disease, while Hahnemann's approach was to restore the health. What is the global impact of his legacy in today? So today, homeopathy is practiced in more than 80 countries worldwide. India has integrated it into its national healthcare system with over more than 300,000 registered homeopathic practitioners. European countries show varying degrees of recognition, while America have founded receptive audiences right from Canada to Argentina. The global presence is remarkable considering homeopathy spread without any pharmaceutical companies backing or government mandates, driven entirely by the patient's satisfactions and physician's conviction. From a single physician's innovative approach in 18th century Germany, homeopathy has grown into a global medical system that continues to influence healthcare practices and philosophies worldwide. So, all worldwide, today we have more than 500 million people who are using homeopathic medicine. The homeopathic medicine market is expected to be more than $15 billion by 2027. There are more than 300 plus homeopathic medical colleges and schools worldwide, and it has got more than 200 plus years of continuous practice. Modern holistic medicine also, Hahnemann's principle has left a lasting legacy. Treating the whole person, individualizing treatment, and using minimal intervention have become central to the contemporary holistic healthcare. His insights anticipated the biopsychosocial model, the personalized medicine, and mind body connection research. And you can see here that Hahnemann's concept of vital force can be compared with modern equivalent of immune system and homeostasis. Individualized prescribing can be compared very well to personalized or precision medicine. The miasmatic theory can be very well compared with the modern equivalent of genetic and epigenetic factors, and minimal dosing can be compared to the modern equivalent of minimally invasive approaches. This patient centered philosophy continues to resonate in modern integrative healthcare approaches that emphasize healing the whole person rather than merely treating the disease. Relevance continues in contemporary healthcare. His approach offers valuable perspectives on current healthcare problems like treating chronic diseases, mental health, that is, integration of psychological symptoms in treatment, managing health inequalities like focus on social and environmental factors, and preventive medicine, that is, emphasis on prevention and maintenance of the health. The scientific exploration based on Hahnemann's principles are the ultra high dilutions, that is, research in nanomedicine, exploring biological effects of highly diluted substances, hormesis, that is, study of low doses can have different effects on high doses, systems biology, that is, modern approach to complex biological interactions, and personalized medicine, that is, genomic approach to individualized treatment. So, in every aspect of modern healthcare, we see the legacy of Dr. Samuel Hahnemann. In conclusion, the enduring legacy for future generations of homeopaths, that is, lessons for young homeopathic practitioners and physicians. The courage to question and innovate. Maintain intellectual courage and independence. True medical progress requires practitioners willing to observe carefully, think critically, and question assumptions while remaining open to new possibilities. The art of deep observation. Develop skills to truly see and understand each patient as unique. This requires presence, empathy, and attention. Learning to see patterns and connections while recognizing each patient's story is valuable. First, do no harm. The principle of first, do no harm. Carefully consider benefits and risks of intervention. Start with gentlest effective approaches and always keep patients' well being as a primary consideration. Forward, Hahnemann has showed us this thing, how to move forward. We have to embrace scientific inquiry, continue Hahnemann's tradition of careful observation and experimentation, and conduct rigorous research and engaging with the broader medical community. To address modern challenges, apply homeopathic principles to the 21st century health challenges, including chronic disease, mental health crisis, and environmental toxicity. We have to balance art and science, that is, preserve Hahnemann's timeless insights while advancing scientific understanding, creating bridges between traditional wisdom and modern medicine. We have to learn to communicate effectively with conventional healthcare providers, understand different therapeutic approaches, their strengths and weaknesses, and work collaboratively whenever or when appropriate. And finally, serve with compassion. Remember that healing is not just about curing disease, but about restoring hope, dignity, and wholeness to human beings. We'll conclude with a call to action. Young homeopathic physicians are the guardians of a precious legacy. The world needs healers who can combine the wisdom of the past with the knowledge of the present to create solutions for the future. As we commemorate Dr. Hahnemann's death anniversary, we find ourselves not at an ending but at a beginning. His story exemplifies the profound impact one individual can have when combining intellectual rigor with compassionate purpose. The challenges facing healthcare today call for exactly the innovative, holistic thinking Hahnemann pioneered. His example reminds us that true healing involves more than treating symptoms. It requires addressing the whole person and supporting natural healing capacities. For all young as well as senior homeopathic physicians, Hahnemann's legacy offers both inspiration and guidance. His life demonstrates it's possible to maintain scientific rigor while practicing with compassion, to challenge authorities while remaining respectful, and to develop innovation while honoring traditional wisdom. Dr. Hahnemann's greatest gift is not any single discovery, but the spirit of inquiry, compassion, and dedication to healing he embodied. This eternal flame of healing passes from one generation to the next, growing brighter with each practitioner committed to serving humanity with skill, wisdom, and love. So may we all carry forward the eternal flame of healing that Hahnemann lit over 2 centuries ago. May we continue to question, learn, grow, and serve, and may we never forget that our highest mission is to make sick people healthy and to cure as it is done. I thank you all for your attention, and may Dr. Hahnemann's legacy continue inspiring us all in our efforts to bring healing to a world that desperately needs it. Thank you.
Hello.
So,
Hello. 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 Hello.
Who?
Hello. I am Dr. Shushan Kumar Mondal from West Bengal, the ex teacher of a government college. I
Yes,
want
sir.
to put a questions to you humbly
Yes,
that
sir.
in the present day scenario, how the new medicos, homeopathic medicos will carry out the legacy of Hahnemann, where there is too much preponderance of patent drugs in the homeopathic stalls. Each disease has its own counterpart homeopathic medicines. How this legacy can be followed at the present day?
Yes, sir. So that has to be taught right from the what do you say college days of the student, where they see their senior practitioners practicing with single medicine or with in the manner where the whole case is taken in detail, the whole thing is worked up properly, the totality is formed, the case is repertorized properly, the differentiation is done by the materia medica very well, and then by assessing everything, the remedy is prescribed and the results are seen. I agree with you completely that many of the young people today go for the shortcut method where they don't need or they don't feel of taking the case properly or doing anything in that manner. But that has to change. That has to be taught to them properly that these are the benefits of doing things in a manner what Hahnemann has taught us, and these are the what do you say disadvantages, or this could happen where you will not find proper results. Also, you will see more of just palliation or suppression when you give these patented drugs to the patients.
Yeah. Sir, in West Bengal, most of the colleges are teaching not according to Hahnemann's line. But whenever they are passed out, they are observing that all the chemist shop, homeopathic chemist shop, are full of patent drugs. So, is there no whether government can uh, take such steps where that can be prevented? That they are stating that these are homeopathic medicine. Actually, they are the mixtures of different drugs. So, how you can
They are,
nullify that?
yes, they are the mixtures of different drugs, and even many of the mother tinctures that are prescribed are not prescribed on the basis of the law of similars, but are prescribed on the physiological action of that drug. So now that is a what do you say is a legal thing which is with the government or the people at the center or the council has to look into how can they bring back the original legacy of Hahnemann and motivate the young practitioners to practice. Like even Hahnemann has written that practicing homeopathy in Organon also is written that practicing homeopathy is not everybody's cup of tea because it requires a lot of work, it requires a lot of dedication, which many a times the, as you rightly said, the young homeopaths may not show, and that's why it becomes very difficult for them to practice it in that manner.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Any other questions?
No, sir. Thank you.
Am I audible?
Sir.
Yeah.
Hello. Oh. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are, sir.
So one thing is, I am Professor Dr. Krishnendu Shah from Calcutta. Thing
Sir.
is that Hahnemann Shah, he proved the medicine and material written and all things more than many years ago. Suppose in there a mercurious product, Emsol or Brownia, he had proven in that country in a specific temperature, specific time. And now it is in Calcutta that homeopathic medicine symptom is same. Is there any reproving of that medicine? Total environmental change, the genome changes, and all the component is changed. Mutation already done in the organism, and the patient's susceptibility already changed due to their environment and environmental factor. And there is a psychosomatic disease and mental symptom, everything. The diabetes patient, those who are mentally exposed, depression, the diabetes patient may be turned to diabetes. And normal patient, they with tension, other factor, normal patient after 45 years may be attacked of diabetes symptom, or these symptom in that time, and in this time, all these symptoms are same to treat the patient.
That's why what needs to be done here is the same drug has to be reproved again. Okay, to see what effects that drug is able to bring out. In, as you rightly said, that the things, the environment, the psychology, everything during Hahnemann's time when he proved the drugs was completely different and what we are facing today. Yes, the drugs need to be reproved again to see whether we are getting any new symptoms or we are getting any change in whatever the symptomatology that was coming up during when it was proved in Hahnemann's time and what it comes up today. But one more thing we always see in our practice and everywhere, that even when we use the symptoms that were given during Hahnemann's time or during the other stalwarts who have proved the remedies years back, and if we are prescribing on the same symptoms today onto our patients, we are still getting good results. So yes, to understand more, to make our materia medica more complete, reproving of those drugs is obviously much more needed than anything else. But the symptoms are there; they still work in the same manner. But reproving will always help to expand our knowledge about the drug. Any other questions? Anything else?
No, my question is, how many drug reproving till now? How many drug
That number
reproving?
of drugs. That's sorry, I don't have that data with me. At how many drugs have been reproved?
And another information I have given you, those
Yes, sir.
drug now in commonly available is the same drug. Suppose I have given example of Ekla lava. Is it available now? Many
That's again,
example in my those Arnica montana. It is now
yes, sir.
available in glacial region. That Arnica montana is not available. We are practicing all doctor Arnica montana take. It is not the Arnica montana. Another sources. So how the result is same?
That's the problem, sir. That's the problem of standardization. Like I can also give you one more example of Sanicula aqua. That Sanicula aqua was years back, but now from the lake where this particular medicine was taken, where the particular substance was taken, that lake only is not existing now. There is a highway over it. So, but still we have the back potencies of Sanicula aqua. Now, whether those are really, even there are controversies regarding to the remedy of lechesis also, whether what was the snake that was proved by herring and what remedy are we getting today? It's also a big question mark. So that question is for the people who are standardizing the drugs, people who are making the pharmacopoeias, from where are you obtaining the drugs, how it is standardized, and what that is best to be answered by those people who are writing the pharmacopoeias or making the pharmacopoeias and the companies who are preparing the medicines. But
So
you are
one thing
correct to
is
say
that
that. You are
in
correct to say
India,
that.
in
Yeah.
India, only one pharmacopoeia lab in Ghaziabad testing all over the India, one center. And I have received the training from there. More and more sample is in the outside, in the baranda, everywhere. No, it is not possible to test of the drugs. And another is in state, there is no lab for that. This is the problem. Another, the back potency is a questionable question. What is the back
Absolutely.
potency? There is no proving of that. We are on from the stock back potency coming from German, coming from, is it water or back potency we cannot prove. But ultimately,
Very
good
good.
faith we are doing that.
Yes, sir. You're right. Absolutely right.
So the young generation, the at least one lab in state, in their system, in every district, there is a lab. The testing of their
That's why
medicine.
Hahnemann, yeah, that's why for Dr. Hahnemann, the pharmacists were against, because he said that the best person to prepare the homeopathic medicine is the physician himself, because he knows the whole authenticity of the drug. He knows everything about the drug, from where it has been taken, where it is, but it's been done. But that is practically impossible for any homeopathic physician today to prepare the medicine. So obviously, as you rightly said, the pharmacies have to be strengthened, and the legislation regarding the pharmaceutical companies have to be looked into and be strengthened.
Okay. You just
Thank you.
being a pharmacy specialist, I give the message to all of you. It should be, it must be, we must be aware about that things. This is
Yes,
my
sir.
message
Very
to
much.
all of you.
Very much, sir. Yes, very much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you all, everyone, for your wonderful question and answer session. Thank you, Dr. Jayesh, sir, for the session. So I hope
Thank you.
today all have gained some immense knowledge from your session, sir. So coming on to the tomorrow's topic. So tomorrow the same, there will be another session by the another speaker dignitary. So we'll be soon back. Thank you, sir. Thank you all the participants.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.